How's it going, guys? We are at, doesn't matter. So I thought we'd quickly talk about, we get a few questions, and it's something that we deliberated about quite a bit when we were building our canopy, is how we're going to keep it cool. Obviously when you're traveling up north, you're going to places where it's quite warm, and having a fridge such as a bushman, you're probably quite considerate on how you want to keep your canopy cool because it's always in the sun. So there's a lot of back and forth, there's a lot of Facebook research, there's a lot of kind of trying to figure out how we're going to keep this big aluminium box cool. In the end, I came to the conclusion that we're going to have to use some kind of insulation, plus something else, some kind of vent. Luckily for us, we have the rooftop tent on top, so I guess that creates a bit of, and the solar panels on top of that, so that creates a bit of insulation externally there. And we have that gap. We have a bit of gap there of probably 200 mil that we're able to, that stops any heat from hitting the roof of the canopy. So that was easy and it was a plus. After doing, like I said, a bit of Facebook research, we came to the conclusion that the most cost-effective way would be to use what many people already know and use is foil board. Foil board is harder to get from Bunnings than I thought, and I actually found it really difficult to find a Bunnings that would stock it. I ended up finding a building supplier because I'm pretty sure it's for in between walls in buildings. They don't make it for your canopy. What we did is I went to a building supply place. I kind of figured out what thickness I need because they come in a bunch of thicknesses. I didn't want super thick because it would, obviously get damaged. It's pretty weak. Now, I don't know what this is. Maybe I'll put it up on the screen. I think this was, all right, I found a sticker. It's foil board, so that's the size that came in. It was 2.4 by 1.2 meters was the per board, and I'm guessing that's 15. Yeah, so 15 mil thickness. I think you can go small as 7 and as big as 25. Probably happy we did this thickness just because, like I said, it doesn't stick out too much, but it also keeps it cool. I bought 2 big boards, which was, like I said, 2.4 by 1.2 meters, so quite big boards. They're quite light. It's actually supposed to bend, they said, so you can bend it as you want. Obviously I just cut it. A tip when you're cutting it, use a super sharp knife and it cuts it through. Otherwise you don't end up with a clean cut, you end up with a pretty rough edge, and hence why I've got tape on some of my edges. Here you can see I've just done one panel there. Each canopy is different, I get that, so we have kind of had to leave gaps down that side for the seal to when it closes, and obviously we've had to leave gaps here for different parts internally, and same, I've had to cut around the door bits there. I also found out through research that you have to leave a bit of a gap because that is, I guess, where the hot air kind of comes in and then sits. I think if you were to have it flush up against the door and no gap, then this would also heat up quite a bit. So as you can see, there's a gap there of probably another, I think 7 mil. And the reason I think it's 7 mil is because the way I attached it to the door was I got 7 mil ply, just use liquid nails. I cut a heap of different squares and just kind of stuck it on using liquid nails. So liquid nails on both sides, stuck it on. Once I had my shape, stuck on there for life. Then I did with my bad cuts, I got some silver tape from Bunnings, best stuff ever, and just ran it along the bad cuts. It's also semi-insulation tape, so that kind of just fixes any edges that were a bit poor. And then I did it around those bits in there. Because it is what do you call it, like styrofoam. It is foam, so it does deteriorate. If you hit it, it does. You can see things have fallen in our canopy and they've damaged that. So just be aware that most people put carpet on it. I just never got to that stage. I would definitely put something, people put ply on it, people put carpet on it. If you had the weight capacity, then you definitely put ply on it, but carpet will work, or you can just leave it like this. You can see we haven't put any on the roof. Like I said, that's because we had no direct sunlight, I guess, on the roof, so didn't feel it was necessary, plus I would have had to buy more. The rear, haven't put it, glued it in. I guess I could have, and I probably should have, but I just never got around to it. So I've just cut to size. It's literally, it's not glued, it's not stuck, you've just cut it a couple of mil too big and kind of jammed it in there. So I've done that, but all the way down there. This here is foil board. This, I had a little bit of leftover marine carpet. I put that on there. Much better. Things hit it all the time. It doesn't get damaged. Whereas here you can see very easily damaged. I guess the back gets a lot of sun, really. The roof less, the doors heaps. So the doors and the back I was always going to do them. The front, I didn't do. I guess mainly because it also gets less sun. If you want to buy more, it's obviously the same as that, just here. I also didn't want too much foam or foil board rubbing up against anything electronic on the back of that board. That's the back of our Bushman fridge, and that's got foil board on it. And so does that side, so does the top, and so does that side. So I had that much left over, roughly, and I thought, instead of doing the roof, I'm gonna do our fridge, because the main reason we're foil boarding the canopy is to keep the fridge cold or not overwork the fridge. So I thought I'll do the same on the fridge. There I got double-sided tape, pretty much just did the outline, cut my shapes. Look, I don't know if that helps the fridge itself, but we haven't had any problems with our fridge in well over a year, and it's pretty much been on the whole time. Freezer has we've always had like icy poles and meat in there constantly, and it's always frozen. So I'll just show you how we do it around this side. How's dinner going? So it's a little bit harder to see with all our stuff in here, but I've put carpet on here. So that carpet there is actually foil board underneath, and it goes all the way up to there. So that's just foil board up to the fridge frame there. On this side, exactly the same as what I showed you before. I put some carpet here where these poke into this, just to stop the damage and making holes. Bit of damage here, damage from the fridge, but that happens. So the other thing that is important, I guess, trying to keep your canopy cool, is a vent or some kind of system to keep the hot air out. I deliberated and back and forth and lots of different research on this, and I don't know if I've come to the... Do you need a hand?
Yes, please.
There's scupper vents, muller vents, and then there's a heap of other like different, obviously you can get 12 volt ones that suck the air out, or fans that blow the air out, and then others that, and then you got to obviously have another vent to bring air in. We ended up going with what you call a muller vent. The main reason for that is that it pulls out stale air and kind of creates a vacuum inside your canopy. Therefore, it can't bring dust in and can't bring rain in. That was a big thing. I'll show you the vent. So those two holes, or the figure 8 holes up there, that's kind of the bottom of the vent. We jump up here. That's the muller vent. So I've siliconed all around it, and you can see this front vent here. It's got a bit of plastic inside it. So therefore the air goes through it as you drive. So it goes through the vent, and then as it goes, I guess, through, the pressure of the air sucks air up from the holes underneath, and that's what creates your vacuum inside your canopy. Ideally, you have another vent or another filtered vent in your canopy, and then therefore it brings air in through that gap, because that's the point of it. That's where the fresh air will come in. I never got around to that. I haven't actually needed it. I feel like that vent is enough to just release the hot air that's in there, maybe even when we're still and when we're driving. And yeah, I never put the secondary vent in, the inflow. Also because I just never got around to figuring out where is best to put it to reduce dust and rain getting in, and I never just found a proper filter for it. We've got 2 temperature gauges, one on the outside of the canopy, one on the inside. Generally the canopy is between 5 to 7 degrees cooler all the time, even when it's 40 degrees, and I'm happy with that. I don't think I could expect it to be any cooler. That's how we keep our canopy cool and our fridge running to the optimum temperature. Like I said, we haven't had any problems ever, and no problems with the vent. So, hey Megan.
Yeah.
Do you need a hand?
No. Looks like it's getting out of control.
Any questions about it, send me a message, and subscribe for more camping stuff.